Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. I'm Jason, bringing you today's episode. As always guys, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I say this every single time, but we're a small family channel. We love to talk about books, and we're going to continue doing this no matter what, but we would appreciate any support you guys might want to give us. Don't forget to check the links down below for links to today's book and anything else that might be applicable. Do need some traffic through those Amazon affiliate links, so please just check it out. Even if you don't buy the book, just check it out. But also, support your indie authors. Some of these indie authors are fantastic, and I'd like to see them hit it big. There's been a lot of authors that I've been reading about lately that ended up giving up, that were fantastic authors, had huge followings, that just ended up giving up because it was too much work for too little return. So support your indie authors, guys. Really support them. They really appreciate it. Thank you, by the way, to our patrons. You are actually helping to support the indie authors because we used it to just buy books I've already read, but books, physical copies of these books so that I can support the authors myself. So today I want to talk about an author that I haven't talked about in the past. And a book that obviously I haven't talked about in the past, but I haven't talked about the author. And this was one that was actually brought to my attention by the author. And I just to let you guys know, I don't do paid reviews or anything along those lines. And I've talked to quite a few authors, and I always have a list of rules, and I'll tell them, not every book that I read makes a review for a variety of reasons. We only want to be positive on books, so I only review books that I absolutely enjoy, and it could be very, very positive about. So I would actually say that only maybe 1 in 5 of the books that are sent to me by authors do I actually read, or suggested to me by authors do I actually not read, but actually review. This was one. This book was absolutely fantastic. I'm going to try and do this without giving out any kind of spoilers, so I apologize if I'm kind of vague in some of how I talk about this book, but it's a really, really, really good book. So the book is Project Mirage. Project Mirage by Timothy Weaver. Tim Weaver, I'm not too sure, but I'm going to refer to him as Tim. I apologize to any authors out there, by the way, if I offend you by the fact that I use your first name, but just easier for me. So Tim's book, Project Mirage, is different in that it has one of the tropes that I usually don't like. I've read a whole bunch of books within this trope, and then eventually just kind of fell out of love with it, I guess. Lit RPG aspect. I'll go over the four usual things that I talk about: the world, the plot, or the world, the character, the plot, the writing style. So the world occurs in a virtual reality video game, and that's one of the things that I really started to dislike. That particular type of trope really started to dislike, because to me, as I'm reading it, in the back of my head, it just doesn't feel real. Like Alpha Guild and some of the other ones that I've read were awesome, and I read a whole bunch of them, but eventually because it was, it was actually put in there as it's a video game. It's a virtual reality video game. It's indistinguishable from reality, but it's still a game, still not real, and I guess in the back of my head it doesn't have the same stakes, so I just kind of fell out of it, and I generally don't like the virtual reality video game type of book. This was an exception for a couple of reasons that I'll get into the plot, and also just for the fact that the writing style was absolutely fantastic. So this occurs within a video game called, well, Project Mirage, and it's your typical fantasy-esque type of lit RPG world. You got your levels, you've got your classes, your skills, your levels, your PvP type of stuff, PvE, PvP, instanced worlds, things along those lines. Your gods, your goddesses, an overarching mystery or plot. The main character's name is Ryan, and what's cool with Ryan, and what makes him, I'm not going to say your typical overpowered antagonist or protagonist, because he's actually not initially. He's going into this well after the release of the game, well after. So by entering the game and starting at a level 1 character, he is actually weaker than most people, and then has additional restrictions that I'm going to get into in the plot as well, that kind of hold him back. But he spent a year in a coma due to an accident, but prior to that, he was a speedrunner. He was a video game speedrunner, not your, professional gamer in, going out winning tournaments and stuff like that. He's more of a streamer, but his thing was breaking records, even world records, on speedrunning games, which means that while he wasn't your typical, professional gamer that goes into one of these worlds and then just crushes it because they can figure out the cheats and exploits and stuff like this. He was a speedrunner, so he looks at things slightly differently, but it does still give him an advantage in some instances. Now, as far as the plot goes, so again, he's been in a coma for a year. The whys I'm not going to get into, because it might really reveal a little bit more about the plot than I want to reveal. And when he comes out of the coma, he discovers that his mother is missing. And for various reasons, he ends up having to enter this video game. And when he enters the game, unsurprisingly, things don't go the way he thinks they will. First off, he can't leave it. He can't leave it, and he is basically contacted by almost like an independent spirit. So he almost has a companion spirit through through his challenges through this game. But he is actually shown his body. I guess he's once again in a coma, or basically dead, and he can't leave the game. He is stuck in this world. But he's given a lot of hints at how this world may not be a video game. This world might be a real world. It's almost like possibly the Project Mirage is almost a portal to another world, to an invasion to another world, something along those lines. But anyway, he's stuck. He's stuck, and he's given some goals basically by this companion spirit as a way to possibly find his mother and also help this world. Now he has to remain hidden from the game masters, which means he has to be careful. He can't reveal much to other players, even though he needs other players and makes some very strong allies with other players. Some really cool other players as well. But remember I was saying he has, while his speedrunning experience and professional gaming experience gives him some advantages to figuring out how to do this. And he figures out the physics engines and stuff like that very quickly. I always said he had some disadvantages. The primary one, there's a lot of ways to gain experience within this game, but one of the builds, one of the pathways is PvP. Unfortunately, most players, when they die, they go back to their spawn point, they start all over again, and not start all over again, they die, go back to spawn point, come back, they're good to go. In his case, because he cannot leave this world, if he dies, he does come back, he will respawn. However, he will lose a small percentage of himself, his mind, his personality, his memories, whatever it may be, but he will lose a small portion of himself. It's a fractional portion, but you got to remember, think about MMO games and how many times we die and go back to the spawn point and have to, and then figure out what the hell we did wrong, go back and fix it. He doesn't have that option, because if he dies too many times, he starts losing a percentage. I mean, think about it. Just even 1% of, say, your memories, how much will you lose? Can you, so even if you're losing 0.1%, how many times are you willing to die and come back? How many times are you willing to lose that 0.1%? That puts him in a very, very difficult position, because again, he's coming in as a level 1 character, while everyone else, there's these guilds and there's already pro rankings and strong characters, both PvE and PvP. And Ryan is at the very bottom, and he has to figure it out. Now, he does have one advantage. He can't leave the game, which means while everyone else has to leave the game to go work, go sleep, go eat, do whatever, he can just grind. He can grind experience. He can grind. So even with his allies, he might have allies say, hey, we'll help you out. We'll go experience farming, whatever. I got to go. I'll be back in 8 hours. I'll be back in 10 hours after work, whatever it may be. They go, they come back. He's gained 4 levels because he just go out in the woods and grind. And along with that, he'll learn more about his class. And he has a pretty cool class. I do like this type of class. A lot of times in these kind of books, they go for either spellcasting or summoning. They go for wizard or summon builds. And this one is definitely a melee build, and it's a lot of fun. The writing style, it's a cool book. It really is. It's a cool book. It's a fun book. It's an engaging book. And he wrote a very compelling world. He built a really compelling world and really, really fun stories. So you guys got to check it out. I actually apologize for not putting this review together earlier. I should have. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.